Bay Area women shorts. Bay Area women shorts. Bay Area shorts. Bay Area women shorts. Bay Area women shorts. Bay Area shorts.
Welcome. I'm Marcel Johnson, your host for this edition of Bay Area Women's Shorts, which is brought to you by executive producer, writer, and director Teresa Earle, and co-directed by cinematographer Kareem the Director Gedra. The Bay Area city of Oakland, California. When you think of Oakland, you think of its chronicled history of crime, civil unrest, urban decay, and the birthplace of the Black Panther Party in the 1960s. To grow up in Oakland back in the day, one could say it was rough, but in and from every rough, you can always find a diamond. And on today's episode, you'll meet and hear the story of one of those diamonds. Let's listen in as mortgage broker Sandy Beniquet facilitates an interview with today's featured guest, an Oakland native who's, get this, fluent in Portuguese and Spanish. The CEO of Computer Information Station Incorporated, Dana Brewer.
Dana, you're one of those rare women who grew up with everything, right? You had both parents at home, lived in a nice neighborhood. You were afforded most opportunities a kid should be afforded, right?
No, negativo, nada.
Well, then what was it like growing up in the Bay Area, specifically in East Oakland?
Yes. So, I grew up in the late 60s, early 70s, and that was a time where the Black Panthers were really active. In fact, if I recall, we had some Black Panthers that lived across the street from us, and the scene was changing. We started off in a neighborhood where it wasn't really racially mixed. Actually, it was probably mostly an all-white neighborhood. And then different nationalities started moving in. People stopped being owners and there were more renters. So that kind of changed the scene of things a little bit. But you were right about one thing. I had I'm going to say an idyllic childhood. I had both parents in the home, which wasn't really common at that time in the area I grew up in. And we were surrounded with a lot of love. In fact, our household was the one where a lot of neighborhood kids came to hang out and things like that. But no, there were challenges.
Mm-hmm. And how were you as a student when you were growing up?
Well, I'd like to say, and I'd like to think that I was a pretty good student. Some people think that it came easy to me, but really it wasn't that it came easy, it's that I studied hard. I worked hard at it, but because I was able to get good grades and excel in school, I really tried to help others. That's kind of always been my thing, is if I learn a thing, acquire a thing, I want to pass it on. So I was that kid who was tutoring those other students and trying to help everybody be the best version of themselves.
Wow, I think you had some really good skills early in life beyond your years, for sure.
Thanks.
So can you share your early career with us? How did you get your start?
Absolutely. Well, thanks to my scholastic achievements, I actually was offered an opportunity to do sort of like a work study with the local municipality, actually East Bay MUD, as it was affectionately known. And that came about because a family friend shared this opportunity with my mom, where they would take a junior in high school and for your junior and senior years teach you a skill. And so I got the opportunity to take the civil service exam and then also to interview as a junior in high school, and I was offered a position as a general clerk. That's really just things like opening mail, being a gopher, running errands, things like that. So that's kind of how I got my start.
Oh, that's interesting. So what opportunities did you have that assisted you or led you on your IT path?
Well, interestingly, in 1982, I will never ever forget it, I walked into the office and there was this big, huge honking computer sitting on a desk. And I didn't know what it was, but I asked one of the analysts, I said, hey, what's this box sitting on the desk? And he was so excited and so enthused to show me that he could take a list of names and test scores, and using this thing, he could sort that list either by last name or by their test score. Well, that was revolutionary for us. But I wasn't satisfied with that explanation. So I went out and I bought a book. The program actually was Lotus 123. That's how far back I go. And I bought a book on Lotus 123 because I wanted to understand what it could really do. And I bought a book on WordPerfect because I wanted to understand what it could really do. And then I went out, saved up for it, and bought myself a computer. And those days, a desktop was like $3,000, $4,000. But I knew that this big box could do more than just sort that list of names. So very early on, from my reading and what I was learning, I sort of put that together to try to figure out how we could make our work in our unit a lot easier.
Wow, that's very impressive. So, were you an overnight success in all of your endeavors? And I ask that because a lot of young people need to know that we seldom see the results of our endeavors immediately.
Absolutely not. Today's world is skewed. A lot of people think that's the way it goes. It doesn't go that way. It's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of determination, and it's a lot of getting back up after failures. And so I wasn't an overnight success, but I kept at it. In fact, because of my learning a little bit about computers and learning how to use them to make our job better, I was actually able to progress in my career because I worked within the company to develop an automated typing test. For the life of me, I could not pass a typing test. We developed an automated typing test, and I was able to pass that test and then get a promotion, which opened up other opportunities for me.
Wow. So that's amazing how you implemented the IT into your department. And I can tell that you are not a quitter because you had some obstacles to overcome. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Well, my love for IT is growing at this time. So I said to myself, there has to be software that can do more than just what Word and Excel can do. So I started on my own researching if there were software companies out there that were writing software that could automate the human resources function. And I was successful in finding some companies, and even at a very young age, my company, East Bay Mud, sent me out to other states to check that software out, to interview. So that's evidence that I kind of knew what I was doing, even though I was learning. However, even though they purchased the software, they used me to train on the software, I wanted my career now to change into IT. And that's where I hit the ceiling. I think I was the wrong gender. I was definitely the wrong age. I was still very, very young, and I was definitely the wrong skin color. And I got that hard no. There was no way for me to transition into IT within my company.
So how were you able to continue to pursue your career in IT despite those obstacles?
Well, I took that one on the chin. I didn't give up on my company or my department. I actually loved human resources as well. But what happened is I hit another ceiling. I was trying to progress in my career in human resources, and they stopped me there as well. And I just decided, you know what, I have worked here for 7 years. I've given my best. I've brought technology to this company in a way that they hadn't experienced before. And I decided it was time for me to move on. So I said a silent prayer. I sat at my desk, I said a prayer. I didn't have anything lined up, but I knew that they weren't going to stop me. And so I walked into my supervisor at the time, and I handed her a resignation letter. Interestingly, after I sat back down at my desk, my phone rang, and it was an aunt of mine who had a technology business. And she said, I will pay you whatever East Bay Mud is paying you if you will come and bring the skill that you've acquired to our company to help us to grow. So it worked out.
That's amazing. So when you left East Bay Mud, is it then that you started your own company? Can you tell me how you started it and a little bit about your company too?
Absolutely. I don't really know how all of this happened. I like to think that it was due to me saying that prayer and really looking for guidance and trying to follow that. But I had the wherewithal to say to my aunt, I'd love to come to work for you, but I also want to start my own IT consulting business. So I've got a question for you, Auntie. If I come to work for you and get your business stable and get it going and growing, would you then allow me to be my first client? Would you become my first professional client? I had a few clients on the side, and she accepted, and so I went to work for them for about 8 months, but that's when my company was born, April 1st, 1988. We started off just doing software training, working with small businesses to teach them how to use the software, and from there went into consulting on networking, infrastructure, up to today, where we're continuing to consult and to provide managed services for companies throughout the Bay Area.
That's great. I think the Bay Area is very fortunate to have a company like yours.
Thank you.
So, certain parts of the Bay Area where you work are very close-knit. How have you been able to help your community, and how has the community been able to help you?
Well, I have to say community is extremely important. In fact, I think all of the opportunities I have had have come from the community. That opportunity I mentioned at East Bay Mud, had it not been for a family friend who mentioned it to my mom, I would have never heard about it. So community really has made me who I am. And what I've tried to do throughout my years is, even when I couldn't necessarily afford it, I've always tried to offer jobs to young people. I've always tried to, if someone was switching careers, bring them into my company to try to teach them my trade and give them an opportunity to grow. And I also have several aunts that have run their businesses in the past. So really all of those influences have helped me to be the person that I am today and to run my business. And I hope to continue to make an impact in the community, because really that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that is really what it's all about, just helping each other out. Isn't
Absolutely.
it? Yeah. Your career is so vast and so interesting. I think you have considerable ingenuity in everything that you do.
Thank you.
You think outside of the box and you create these new opportunities for yourself. I think that's such a good example for many young women out there. Thank you so much for being here today, but I really think that we need a part 2, because I can talk to you all day about this. Thank you, Dana Brewer, for being here today and sharing your experiences with us and being here on Bay Area Women's Shorts.
Thank you so much.
Wow, another example of an incredible woman not allowing anyone to put a ceiling on her sky. That concludes this edition featuring Dana Brewer. I'm your host, Marcel Johnson. Make sure you tune in next time for another enlightening edition of Bay Area Women's Shorts.
Bay Area Women's Shorts. Bay Area Women's Shorts. Bay Area Shorts. Bay Area Women's Shorts. Bay Area Women's Shorts. Bay Area Shorts.